Hello and welcome to Tip of the Spearhead. I'm Aceface and I'm with my good buddy Simon as always. How you doing, Simon?
I'm very well, mate. It's been a
We're
while.
back from the warp, back from the
Back from the warp? Yeah, no,
back
that
from the warp.
works.
It does
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
thematic, right? Not back from just the
Back,
relentless COVID challenge of nothingness, right?
Nurgle takes hold, right? That's
Well,
that's the
quite
truth.
literally, it's taking hold right now.
Yeah,
Um, so if you're stumbling upon the show and you've not listened to us previously, we tend to do kind of a regular show. We were doing it kind of every week, and through COVID, it's become a bit more of a challenge. But what we like to do is kind of look at what's kind of going on in 40k. Generally, we focus on more of the competitive scene, but it's very general. We put our own kind of spin on it, and kind of we don't do the kind of straight off the bat reviews, sort of word for word. We very much kind of digest things and then have a bit of fun with kind of whatever's coming out. Give you our opinion, generally argue and take the piss out of each other for about an hour. Hopefully, guys, you'll enjoy it. And for you returning listeners, we really do apologize for kind of our inconsistencies over the last few weeks and months. You wouldn't have got a show since Christmas, and so that's not really good enough. So we've kind of got our heads together and we're working out what we want to do kind of going forward, and particularly at the moment where it's not that the content is low, it's more the fact that it becomes less relevant because there isn't really a meta and there isn't really a huge amount kind of going on in the competitive scene. What we will do is to make it a bit more manageable and make sure that we've got good content for you. We're going to commit to a fortnightly podcast. So I would expect to see the podcast drop on a Wednesday or Thursday every other week. From now on, and we'll try and be a lot more regular with that. So we're trying to get a little bit more organised and try not to let you down. So, but thank you very much for listening. Anyway, we really appreciate it. And just to chuck my quick sales pitch in because it wouldn't be a podcast without. If you do want to follow us, there's lots of ways to do that. Obviously, we do a lot of stuff on YouTube, so you can check out Twisted Dice on YouTube, and you can follow us on all your social media platforms as well. And if you want to become a patron, there's always links in this description as well as pretty much everywhere else. And big thanks to those guys. They're amazing. But anyway, I think that's the kind of church notices, Simon.
do you want me to give the TLDR? So let's give the
Well,
TLDR for
you
that,
make
which
it
is
longer. Make it longer. Go on.
TLDR. Mace is a neckbeard, and he hasn't had any tournaments to go and cheese shit up at, so he's getting a bit fed up of not being able to talk about it. But now we're going to try and make a difference and talk about some good things. Yeah, is that a nice tidy review?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely missing stomping all over people with beardy lists, 100%.
Little
But
Timmy with his little army that he's just got for Christmas. He's
yeah,
just going to just plonk big things all over him. Take that, little Timmy. Come back, get good, noob. Yeah,
I
we've been
will
playing a lot of
caveat.
Warzone.
I will caveat that with I did play Tyranids all last season. Let's not.
Oh, here you go. Here
Let,
you
so
go.
let's not get too. I
Well,
don't.
it has been nearly a year since we last did one of these, so maybe our listeners have forgotten that. Right.
This is true.
Should we recap them as other things? I don't like Tau. You
You
play
don't like
Nids.
I don't
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like most other things, particularly the good guys.
Don't like anything good, guys. Yeah, they're gone.
Pretty much so.
Right.
Yeah, don't like Eldar. Don't like Imperial Guard. Yeah, that's kind of me
Only like
really.
Space Marines when they're in meta. Less so.
Yeah, like Space Marines when I'm playing them, but when anyone else is playing them, I don't like them. That's about right. Yeah, and don't like anything else.
But
But like the bad guys, like Chaos.
can I bring a little bit of sadness in because I
I don't
think
know.
we should
Do we
we
need your
should
sadness?
a little bit. We should spare a moment for where we should be right now. Where should
Oh,
we be right now?
we should be in Las Vegas, Simon.
We should be, and
Oh, you really had to bring the tone down, didn't you?
I did.
You
But
absolutely
and I
did.
think, but do you know what? I think that just kind of highlights the year we've all had, right? And anyone who listens to this, I think, I don't think people listen to this for our rules updates more or us heckling each other. But anyway, if they did, they're of a more competitive nature. We've had a not great year, and while some people have gotten to have comps, I know, I think Australia just had a major. There's been a couple in America. I was supposed to have one, yes, last Saturday just gone, and that got cancelled because we got locked down again. I
Yeah.
think generally the general tone is we're all a bit fed up, right? We just want to just want to get our armies out and go and play. Ninth is really untouched in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? We haven't had a big full on. We had a few, and I'm not trying to be cruel or mean to Australia because they have some really good players, but the big worldwide kind of things, we haven't got the same sort of net listing. Actually, I don't miss, but that kind of like this is the list, that's the list. We haven't really got that going on at the moment because no one's really testing them, are they? I know the big guys are playing each other, but I don't know.
And they're not as well. It's there's an infatuation with this tabletop simulator that that people believe is able to keep them going. And it was a live stream I did fairly recently, and I kind of had a bit of a rant about it. And I just, in my personal opinion, I just don't think it's the real thing, and I don't think it gives you a true indication.
I guess any port in a storm, right?
It is, and I don't want to let piss on somebody else's barbecue. It's if somebody else wants to do that, then all for them and enjoy it. And it's if they're playing the hobby and they're getting excited about it, then that's great. And I'm sure it is good. But for me, if I'm sitting down by a computer screen, I'd rather do something that is actually computer based. The whole idea for me for the hobby is it's something that's tactile. That's visual, and it's just a very different feeling from playing on the computer, in my mind.
You don't get the same smells or the same noise.
It just doesn't feel right, and it's not. For me, it's not. It's not
gonna lie. I don't miss the smells. If I can just sort of throw that one out there, but anyway. I do miss the beer.
Oh, absolutely.
And the bants and all that goes with it. So here's where we are, and we find ourselves in mid-January. It could be any year right now, but it is 2021, just in case people are keeping track. But quite frankly, it could be 2041 for all I know. But we've had some rules updates, right? To meaningless rules.
But it would have been huge normally, wouldn't it? It would literally the whole community would be going absolutely apeshit right now, but they're not. The reality is it just rolled out. A few people raised their eyebrows as there were some comments, but the reality is these rules are pretty much in a way kind of gone under the radar because they only really mean anything when you take them out into a competitive environment. But it is interesting, and we did think we would spend kind of the show talking about kind of our sort of takes and some of the talking points from what was actually a pretty substantial FAQ. If you think it's the first proper big FAQ since 9th edition landed, and it has changed up quite a lot of things. And I think if we were about to go into LVO, this would be a huge thing, right?
It'd be a talking point, wouldn't it?
Be huge, right? It would, yeah. It would.
The thing with it is like, and for me, I mean, we got we got 9th. We picked it up. We started to play it as best as we could. Right. We've had games here and there. We took our own takes of how the game's going. And I always am I skeptical. There's an element of skepticism. Who knew, right? Who knew that salty sign might be skeptical?
From you.
But I know. Tell me about it. It is a bombshell, right? A bombshell. And you sort of think, are we going to start to see power creep? And not yet. And I don't know what this Death Guard book brings. It's potentially going to be brutal. It's potentially going to be balanced. I hope balanced, because one thing I've noticed is I have to give them their due this time. This seems like a much cleaner edition. We don't seem to have quite so many of the nonsense, and there's a couple of little nonsensey bits, but they've tried their best to cover it off. And I have to honestly give them their due. This is either because they've play tested it better this time, or whatever the reasons is. That it's still very objective-y, right? And we'll come to that. But the rules themselves, they're cleaner, right? When you play a game, it just flows better. But yeah, I do have a tendency to slip back to 8th and go to do something which they've stopped, right? And that's the kind of and that's because I'm not playing enough games to get it sort of really kind of like ground in, as that's now the difference. But what I do like is that this little FAQ came and it's tidied some bits up. It's like, hang about, they're still listening, even though they haven't seen the meta as it is, and that sort of stuff. They have gone, okay, well, let's try and tidy it up. Let's try and some things feel a bit strong, some feels don't. So I think for us, maybe we talk about the mission pack first, because that's probably a big deal.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, we've spoke so many times, haven't we, around, the whole thing with Ninth Edition more than anything else is the fact that we have this unified mission pack that now everybody has adopted. But also, it's a very different way of playing the game, and it is the biggest game changer from 8th to ninth. A lot of the core rules stayed pretty much the same, but the way that the mission works is quite dynamically different. So that means that these changes do make a big difference to how you're playing the game, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I think a lot of this stuff is just, I mean, I looked at some of these sort of clarifications, and the big ones for me is the rare rules, because the rare rules is where they really try and think a bit. So the usual kind of, oh, do I want to go down this path already? Yeah, I probably do. The neckbeards, the people who are going to try and rules lawyer something to be something it isn't, and we've had that for so many fucking editions where someone would go, well, the rules clearly could say either thing. And you've done it to me as well, so don't sit there and feel smug about it.
And
right?
You've done it to me as well.
No, I have not.
Yeah, you have.
I always, I'm the good guy.
No, you're not.
I always, 100%.
No chance.
100%.
No chance. No, no chance. Go for it.
Always try and game it, right? That's you. That's the Mace face, right? Gamey, right? I'm not like that. I'm a nice guy. But what I do like is, let me get to the fucking point, right? Is they've tidied some of that up as well. It's almost to say, we thought it was clear, but maybe it needs to be clearer again. And that's kind of like, it kind of annoys me that we have to have some of these rare rule updates in here, because I think they read fairly well anyway. But again, it's somebody, well, and I'm sure when that happens, somebody just rolls their eyes, but it's nice that they're covering it off, because you think of how many interactions we've had in 7th and 8th where for ages it was just, will somebody please square it one way or the other so we know, right? So we just know what it is. And that's now better. So
it is
that's
better, yeah.
That, and that's where we are. So the first thing in here, mate, and I'm going to throw this at you because this is the one thing of 9th that I'm still not happy with, and that's the first turn mechanic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I still don't like it.
It's changed.
And it has, but has it changed a lot? Because I read that and go, so how many times did you roll off, and then the person who won the roll off then go second? Did it happen?
In my limited experience, I didn't see it happen lots, because I think that going first
Still
on
strong,
the whole,
right?
I found is so powerful, getting to the center of the board, and being able to set the tempo of the game. But I suppose the caveat for that is, if you've built an army that gives you the option to do equally very, very strong, then you're able to really decide what's going to work better, and be able to adapt that approach depending on your opponent. And that this now means that you don't have that ability. So it means if your opponent has selected a really defensive army that's particularly slow, that's going to play in the late game, it's not going to come to the middle of the board, it's going to very much, so some of these, for instance, the strong white scar lists currently are all about pretty much being quite sneaky and pretty much hiding the entire of their army for the first couple of turns, to then just score secondaries, and then they depend on, from turn 3, that they know that they're going to max scores turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5 and win the game. So they'll score sort of 5 or 10 guaranteed and try and stop your opponent from getting the maximum 15, and then completely dominate from turn 3. And they'll kind of play that game. There are armies that will have that ability to be able to do both. Now, what this does do is it stops that. It means that you actually, you just abide to what the dice roll says, which means it can, it adds an element of randomness, which sort of prevents, to a degree, people from being able to game it. Now, is it perfect? No. But is it a step in the right direction? I would say yes, because it does, even if it's only marginal, it does tone down that one roll that completely can potentially determine all, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but I think it goes back to the deployment for me. I really like that Champions Mission Pack. I'll say it again. I really like that ability to know I'm going first, I'm going second. I can deploy accordingly. I've never. That's been the best of all the worlds for me so far. The nearer we get to that, the happier I am, because I liked. I'm going second. I'll deploy that way, right? And I can't steal initiative. There's none of that, right? And it wasn't in that pack, was it? It was just you were first, you were second, and you deployed as the attacker or the defender, right? And I really loved that mechanic. The nearer we get to getting closer to that, the happier I'll be. This doesn't. I mean, what I think when I read the notes for why this was brought in, it was more just to speed it up, just to take out another decision paralysis moment of, ooh, do I want to go first?
Yes.
Or do I want to go second? Fucking pick one. Right?
I think that sometimes
knew what you wanted before you rolled the dice.
Yeah, I think sometimes at Games Workshop, I think they know that reality is that some of these things run deeper, but they overly simplify their reasons for changes. And we've seen it so many times in the past. So I know that was the reason that they publicized. I'm not convinced that was their only thinking point to this change. But yeah, I would agree with you 100%. But again, I think there is an element of this speeding up the game again involved in that, because you think back to exactly what you're saying. If that decision's made so you can plan around, right, I'm going to play defensively, I'm going second, and vice versa, it takes away a little bit of that. We've just got to kind of clash. We've got to take these risks, and it's going to kind of like speed the game up, make it more random. And in their mind, right or wrong, playing devil's advocate, it adds in that element of kind of like fun and just making it a kind of a random game, which us as competitive players want to take away as much randomness as possible, because what we want is we want control to be able to be as tactical and really make sure that the success or failure of our game is down to how we play, not the kind of luck or that kind of element. So I think it's really natural, and I'm the same. I much prefer that style over what we've got now. But I can see their mindset behind it. They want things to die really quickly. They want loads of random shit to happen. And they want all these 12-year-old kids to have a joyful time rolling dice, right? And then it's not always necessarily geared around us, I suppose. That's probably fair.
Yeah, I think that is probably fair. It just, but I don't want to labour the point.
Agree.
But again, it's a step. It's a step back. At least it's just like you are or you're not, right? So it's a change, and it's different. The next one is now this is more missiony. So you're probably a bit more up on this than I am. I know them, but probably not quite to your level. So there's been some big changes here. So while we stand, we fight one, and this is and again a big change, right?
Now. Yeah. Which is big. So it just means that certain where there were like potential loopholes in it, where people would game it, it makes much more sense. It was meant to be like that, wasn't it? It was always really meant to be, your big guys, single models. It was never meant to be, these, an expensive unit of what have you, do you know what I mean?
And then you hide them.
Exactly. So I think I actually think potentially of the changes, I think this is one of the smaller ones, because I think most people, I don't think there were a lot of people gaming it, but then correct us if we're wrong. I didn't hear about it anyway. When I heard examples of this, it was things like the Silent King, or other units.
To kill, right?
Who's really hard to kill, and when you've got him and like three other guys that are awkward, so you've got like because I think it was the one that sort of Richard Ziegler was using when he's been playing kind of his Necrons. So you've got kind of like the guy on his command barge who's kind of just under the threshold for wounds, and is also really hard to kill and is quick and tanky. And then you have the Silent King, and you have another barge, and before you know it, yes, you might kill one of those, but the chances of you maxing out those points is, you're going to get score points from that,
Yeah.
So I think, but there probably was, I'm sure there's loads and loads of examples of where people are, where people were gaming it, but I think that's a smaller one. I think the other two, and I'm going to be absolutely totally selfish because they completely they completely factor in my game plan. So they make a huge difference. So the bring it down
Oh yeah, that's massive. But I
now
really like
being
that.
yeah,
That
it's
means I
great.
can,
Well, I want to play
yeah.
monsters, don't I? I want to play like an army full of monsters.
Well,
So
it's just not even that. Like, it's just I really wanted to do Impulsor Rush, and
yeah,
I was
yeah,
just basically giving 15 points away.
yeah,
Like, there you go.
yeah,
Just have 15 points.
yeah.
And it's just like, well, why am I going to bring them? And that's what invariably happens with the way we play, right? And do you
Mhm.
remember like which version of the Champions missions was it where it was 19 models or this? So everyone,
Oh
so
yeah,
yeah, everyone just brought 9 models or 19, right? And
yeah,
it was
exactly.
like, so
Yeah,
oh, we're just going to game it because that's what we do, right? I'm just why would I bring 20 cultists when I could bring 19 and give you one less point? It's
yeah,
and that's what we started to do, and that's when you start to see this. And
yeah,
everyone would bring 9 models or that, and even like, oh come on,
yeah,
this is stupid. I really want to bring 30, but there's no point because I'm just going to give you points. Now it's like, what's what I like about this is like, hang about. Well, maybe we are making it too easy for people to kill them and thusly take the number of like points. Now let's make it a little bit more fun. Um, because that was the thing. So now it was like, so I think I was giving up 3 for an Impulsor. Impulsor's not fucking hard to kill, man. It was just like
no,
literally breathe on it and it's 3 points. There you go. Now it's at least 2 points. It's like, well, hang about. Now I've got 3 Impulsors. I'm only giving up 6 points rather than
yeah,
9. Whereas 9 you'd probably take every day of the week because it's an easy 9 points. And in the
yeah.
secondary world, I'll take 9 every day of the week. So now it's like, well, now you're only giving up 6. It's going to be a case of,
Yeah,
well,
it might be
do you want to take
easy,
that?
but you're not going to get so many points, right? And that's the
That's it.
thing,
Yeah, yeah.
and that I like that because it does mean that those cool models you'll see more on the table, which is what we want to see, right? It doesn't matter what I don't really care what army it is. I like seeing big cool models. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what we want, isn't
ultimately
it? It
we've got
looks cool.
we've got so many amazing models in the game. I don't want to get to a place where we're just playing with just armies of little infantry units that happen to be the most efficient for points in the secondaries. So for me, that's really really good.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like that.
And
The
the
Horde the Witch one, I don't
yeah,
know because I never played any of the psychic ones like at all. Haven't
oh,
really
I
played
did.
psychic much. Yeah,
Mm.
but you're a big psychic army, right? So
Mm-hmm.
does this matter? Does this one is
Big
this
time.
big?
Yeah, yeah,
Right, okay.
absolutely. You think that things like hive tyrants, and all the
And it stops you picking this if
HQs.
you have psychic units. So
Yeah,
that's good.
exactly.
So people were doing that then. One
Yeah, yeah,
assumes.
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so you would have picked this with psychers
Mm-hmm.
for what purpose? Because it was just killing other psychers, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing, and also, I mean, the ones that really got screwed by this was obviously like Grey Knights.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Oh, clearly. Like, you're going to pick that every day of the week, especially playing against you. That's easy points, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
easy
absolutely.
points for you on him. So now
Yeah,
neither of you can have it.
yeah,
Job done.
yeah, exactly. I like it. I think it just takes away units that you want to bring that you just would sort of second thought because people might take certain things against you. Now you're kind of a bit like, well, actually, yes, they can score points against me, but they're not so massively punishing.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
Agreed.
so
I totally.
but I personally really like them. But I think those changes were good. I think those changes
And
were
is this
solid.
now the page of 16s for this is the bit which I fairly remember was it now lets you score points at the end of your turn or something. It gives second player
Second
a chance.
player at the end of turn 5 rather than in their command point in their command
Yeah,
phase.
because it basically lost the turn of scoring points, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, because there was no way of kind of getting on an objective at the end and then having it at the beginning of the next turn type of
So
thing.
it gives the player going second something else at the end. That player, so player one gets the first crack, you get the last crack. That
Exactly.
seems fair, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it kind of balances that, which there is that always that big argument with people saying, well, actually, I think second turn's really powerful. Yeah,
I think it
I'm
can be with the right
still
army. I've always felt that with the right army, you can play to go second, but you have to have the right army for it.
you
I don't
do.
think I can't bring my Space Wolves and play for that, right? Because it's not going to work that way. That's not how we play. I might be able to as a fluke, but the reality is that's not how I'm geared. But whereas your good Gene Stealer cult players will always like and going second because they've got shenanigans, and they've got shenanigans which most other people don't have, right? The
This is
blips, the
exactly.
others and stuff. Is that so? I get that.
But it's the minority, isn't it? That's the
Yeah, of
reality. It's
course it is.
the
But it means
minority
that
want to
you're
go
going to
second.
bring that minority might want to now come and play. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
get that. as opposed to what's the point of me playing? If I go second, I've already lost, right?
Yeah.
So it's now, because all that happens is, you know how this works. In my turn 5, I kill your stuff on the objectives. Game over.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah,
Well
absolutely.
done,
Don't even worry playing your last turn because there's no point.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no point.
And it just gives you that little. It means that you kind of have got that bottom of last turn. That kind
If
of
you're
right. I've
playing
kind
that
of got that ace up my sleeve. I'm going. Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
you've got a
Yeah.
chance, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which is cool. Which is what you want because it adds another level of kind of, tactics to the game. So I think that's good. Because there is nothing worse than, particularly in like a close fought game, that turn 5 players like, well. Yeah, there's no point in me really doing anything this turn. It's all over. Let's shake hands and go to the bar. You still want to be able to play out that last turn and and try and pull something out.
Yep.
So I think it's good. I think it's good. I think so. I think I would say all of those changes are good. Really, really positive changes. I think they improve the mission set. So big thumbs up for me. So.
Embark, this is interesting because
this is stuff I've not looked at too much. So I concentrated a lot more on the missions and the points. You've delved into more the gamey wording and clarity of stuff. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts and stuff on that.
Not everyone's going to be interested to hear my thoughts.
No.
Let's go.
No, let's go. Tell them what you're thinking.
Now this is. I know, or at least I think I know what this stemmed from, right? So there is a Mechanicum dude who triggers something that works in the movement phase or something like that. He triggers it in the movement phase, but it works in the shooting phase. And what people were doing is they were starting him in vehicles, wanting to trigger this thing, which has no impact on the game, inverted commas. It has lots of fucking impact, otherwise you wouldn't want to use it, would you? But they put him in a vehicle so he can't be killed, and then they activate this thing, pop him out of his vehicle, and in a shooting phase, his aura now works, right? So the world, is it the W something? Is that the world something? I don't know who the heck they are, right?
The old ETC, basically. They changed it. They've separated, right.
So they ruled it that yes, he could do that, right? And everyone else said, what part of when you're on a vehicle you can't do nothing? I don't understand, right? What part of that isn't a thing? So so they've clarified that to say, unless specifically stated, you have no effect. No abilities have any effect whilst they embark. Stratagems can't be used on them while they're embarked. What part of you can't do anything do you not get, right? So I think that's where it came from. So again, there's that little bit of. And that's the kind of the bit that always frustrates me about this damn hobby is somebody will always try to read something and go, yeah, but why can't I do that? Right? Well, because it says you can't. Well, it doesn't specifically say my thing can't specifically be done. Yeah, it does. It says you can't do anything whilst you're in a vehicle. Oh, does it say that though? No, it does. And then you have that kind of back and forth of, I'm bored now. So this is like, no, you can't do it. Whilst you're on a vehicle, nothing happens. Stop doing it. So that's interesting that, again, and that's happened. We haven't even had that many tournaments. And that was a question that kicked up. I can't even remember. I think it was on the competitive page or something. And it's been noticed, spotted by someone, and it's fed in. I like that, right? I can't not like that. It's good because it stops that kind of, you're sitting there at a tournament and go, no, it doesn't say that. And you've got the person sitting opposite you saying, well, it doesn't say I can't do it. Oh, and then you have to get a judge. And then if the judge is his mate, he says it anyway, right? So I like that, right? That's it. It's a very simple thing, but it just covers off gamey shit, and I have nothing but respect for that. There is pages and pages of changing to rare rules. This is frustrating because, again, I think that bit in the back where it says rare rule, this might be a thing, I kind of thought that was pretty clear. I did, right? But they've had to change lots and lots. I don't want to go into all of them because we'll bore the shit off each other. But there's loads of things like charging aircraft. I thought that was pretty clear. It mustn't have been super clear. Now it's made more clear. So they've had to make a special rule for that bloody stupid massive Centurion, whatever the fuck it's called, plane. Not Centurion plane. What is it? The bloody
Astra Militarum plane.
No, the Custodes big flying.
Bob.
Yeah. Right. That's now got its own rules because it's just nonsense.
Too big.
Yeah, but now it can be set up and this, that, and the other. So they had to bring a special rule in for that. I think that's just one person that likes to bring that thing. But anyway, if you're listening, whatever, right? So and it's just loads and loads of little tweaks and little bits.
There's quite a lot of moaning and groaning around the clarifications to like the psychic movement stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Few Eldar players like starting to lose their shit that they can now do that bullshit with Dark Reapers again, move them in and out of Wave Serpents, which I mean, as I said, I'm not rules lawyer, so I'm not going to go into it. But it sounds like all the verbiage that I'm hearing is that they can basically now.
Well,
they can move them out. So they can move them out. They can shoot.
Special. So the Harlequins had it anyway, right? So and lo and behold, that big 80-player tournament in Australia, guess what? Had a Harlequins player in the final. It's no shock. They're absolute nonsense. They need sorting out. They need a new book. Because everything that book doesn't sit with the new stuff, right? It's just like, how are you getting to do that? We used to be able to do that, and they stopped us, right? That happens a lot when you play against Harlequins. You can do that because it doesn't feel right. Because like, well, I can't do that anymore, and that happens. Like those interactions with a Harlequins player happen probably 4 or 5 times a turn. The first time you play them, you go, "What, really? Yeah." And one of them is their stupid guy who pops out of the transport, charges. Then he does a psychic move, some sort of psychic move to then move the plane so it gets a free up invul. Then he charges. Then he uses a stratagem to then disengage and go straight back and jump into the transport in the combat phase. And that's all of that kind of shenanigans, and it's all about how that works because normally they use the psychic powers to move again and all sorts of shenanigans. And it just when it happens to you, you're like, really, that's a thing? I can't do that. I'm playing Space Marines. All of my cheesy shit got killed. Okay, yeah, why not? And it happens all the time, right? So there's been lots of that, but I'm still not entirely sure. I think they've tried. I thought they tried to clarify it to stop unless you could specifically be doing it. But again, I'm not hugely sure that's worked out as well as it should have done. You're quite right.
Yeah, so I think the jury's still a little bit out on that one, and as I said, I don't want to, particularly at the moment, as we've said many times, and we'll keep banging that drum. Is the reality is there's no tournaments anytime soon, so it's not something that I as a TO or you as a TO right now need to rule on. So I'll let the people continue to try and game the system, and when it means something to anybody that I give a shit about, then I'll worry about it. Then is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair. I did some other little things as well. So one of the things that so this used to come up, and we've had a debate about this in previous podcasts, I think. And it's the interactions of like your NIDs had something that made someone fight last, right?
Yeah.
So they've tied that up, which I really like, and that's now that is just sorted. Yeah, and that's sorted. If the words say you're not eligible to fight, it doesn't matter. You can't use counter offensive stratagem, and that clears it up now. Done.
Strengthens it as well, doesn't it? Strengthens those special rules significantly.
Yeah. So my previous to this, where it wasn't quite clear, my talisman thing that makes people fight last, or the armor, whatever, the armor of Russell, I don't know what the fuck it's called. The thing that makes people fight last, I think it is the armor of Russell. It was like, what's the point? Because the main point of this now is they've changed, and I keep forgetting. But they've changed how the fight phase works, right?
Yes.
So you know this.
I go.
So, yeah. But it changes. It swaps, doesn't it? So it suddenly they get to go before you, and you're like, whoa, hang about. And it's suddenly like that once you've done your charges, they get to hit, and you're like, oh shit. So if you've already got a unit in combat and you think I need to help him out, right? You charge your guy in, you hit with a charge. But if you don't kill that thing, he's going to hit you first. And you're like, whoa, that's big because I'm going to get wiped out by this thing. I'm coming in to help you, and not only am I going to get wiped out, but in the next turn I'm going to get wiped out again. Oh, bugger! Right, I'm in trouble. Now suddenly that armor of Russ, or the belt of Russ, I think it's actually called, isn't it? It might be the belt of Russ.
Belt of Russ.
Something to do with Russ. Yeah, some part of something to do with Russ. Now it's like, well, you're going to fight last anyway, and I like that not because it's cheesy, but it just covers it off, right? So now you know what you're doing, and you can charge in knowing, well, it might be Mortarion. Oh, Jesus Christ, and look how scary he's going to be. But I at least can make you fight last and try and get my guys out of a hole, right? And I like that. So job done.
Yeah.
Right. So cleared that up. And you're right. I'm still not 100% on this whole psychic moving and everything. You're right. I didn't think it was supposed to be that way. There's loads about that. I mean, Jesus, there's shooting whilst embarked on a transport gets 9 points. I just like, really? Was it that? I don't have open topped, right? So I don't have that. And I'm like, what? How? Why was this a thing? But apparently it's a thing because they've needed to do 9 bloody points in it. So fair enough. I get it. Maybe it needed clarifying. It's been done. What else did they do, which I spotted and I kind of liked? That's pretty much it. Loads about transports.
Yeah, loads about transports, disembarking large models, stuff like that. It's all pretty obvious stuff, to be brutally honest, some of it, but it's nicer than to clear it up because somebody somewhere made a fuss about it, and that's cool, right?
Yeah, and that's fine, right? And I'm good with that. So job done. Nice that they've made a difference, right? So I'm all with that. So that's cool. So that kind of covers off your kind of like your mission pack. And then they did. I've got all these bloody pages open and now I can't find the one I want. It's clever of me, innit? Yeah, they did some core rule changes, and this is as boring as this is, and again, it seems really gamey, but I can see kind of why. But have you seen the sort of? There's obviously the Games Workshop ruins are really tall now, right?
Yeah,
taller than what they used to be.
Yeah.
So there used to be a 3-inch gap between the floor and the first floor, right? Now it's 5 inches on those big basilicum thingies, right? So in the picture example they give, which is very nice, it looks like something I would do. They've deep struck a unit of Chaos Terminators. I didn't even know they were a thing. Maybe they are, right? That's cool. I like that they're still a thing. But in front of what appears to be, are they Space Wolves? I don't know. They might be Long Fangs. Again, it's just nice that they're still a thing. And it's all about the measurements. And this is where, for me, we get a little bit gamey, but there does seem to have been some confusion as to how we measure. And I kind of like how a picture explains it. So fair play to them. Little dotted arrow from base of Terminator's feet or base up to the base of the Space Wolf is 9 inches away. So that's a 9-inch diagonal. That's suddenly like, I don't think people have been measuring that way, or people who knew have been, but most other people have been measuring out 9 and drawing an imaginary line down. That's 9 inches away, right? So that changes that. So in this exact example, on this bit of terrain, if you've got your Space Wolf team up on that 5-inch ledge, I can deep strike my Terminators 9 inches away, but due to a variety of reasons, it only needs an 8-inch charge. And somebody must have worked that out and gone, hang about, what do I need to roll? Because back in the old days, you remember when they cocked up that fly?
No, let's not go down that again, because that was, that 0-inch charge.
Yeah. So, but that's exactly that. That was the problem. But now, this specifically says, in this example, that unit gets an 8-inch charge. Now, if you had your Space Wolf guys on the floor, guess what? It's a 9-inch charge. But because of the way this mechanic works, they have said, yes, it's an 8-inch charge. And actually, if this was a double layer one, you might need even less than 8, depending on the distances, right? So it's interesting. But I would never. I mean, I've been old school. I would measure out 9, draw a line down, put your finger there, job done. I can deep strike them there. It is now literally diagonal. So I think we're back to having the little 9-inch stick. That's much, a 9-inch red stick. It's from the old sets that you cut down to 9 inches. So you could. I think that's pretty much where we're back down to, because that's exactly what it says, base to base, which is a different way. And that's one of the nuances of 9th that we missed. Maybe it was a wording thing. I'd missed that.
Yeah.
But again, people playing it probably knew it. This is where you get your deploying large models thing. Basically, he can have as much of this stupid plane overhanging as he wants, right? But I don't think it gets to move in the first turn. It's all very bizarre. But it means
it doesn't. That's right. Yeah. He has to either set it off the board, doesn't he, or otherwise it can't move first turn.
But it could be on the board and shoot loads of guns, which is pretty much what he wants to do with it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is now your psychic actions, and this is your out of phase rules for embarking, right? So this is exactly it. So this is what they say. We wish to add an example to explain how the out of phase rules applies to units. So you listen to this and tell me what you think. When a unit uses a rule to make a move as if it were a movement phase, all normal rules that would apply in the movement phase apply when you make that move. For example, models in that unit cannot finish within engagement range of an enemy model. And if every model in that unit finishes that move wholly within 3 inches of a transport, it can get on the transport. So 100%, the psychic power lets them do that, and they've FAQ'd that to say it's possible. So
Yeah,
that's actually bullshit. That's perfectly fine.
and that is bullshit. And that is bullshit.
I don't think I can do that. Again, it feels like
it's the fire. It's the Dark Reaper's fire and fade is a big problem. That's basically because they protect their wave serpents, as anyone knows, are hard nuts to crack, particularly as they can make them even more resilient with psychic powers. And then you've got them blasted Dark Reapers that start in them, so they're really difficult because it takes you all turn to try and blow up the bloody wave serpent. And if you don't blow it up, they jump out, they shoot you, then they use a psychic power. Back in again.
So I suppose
it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but they're only damage 2, right? And I think damage 2 is soon to become, after all the excitement of damage 2 heavy bolters, I think the incoming Nurgle are going to make damage 2 feel like damage 1 again. And it's all going to be about damage 3. So whether or not you actually see Dark Reapers, because you're going to have to build a contingency for dealing with the Nurgle guys, right?
Yeah.
And a unit of Dark Reapers is not cheap. Do you really want to be just firing one shot, basically damage 1 crack missiles? Probably not. Don't know, but that's a big change because it suddenly makes me. I was building things with heavy bolters. Now they can go in the bin. The heavy bolters aren't going to cut it. I need something different. So that's where it is. So then they've redone the updates in errata. So they've recovered off Embark again. Jesus. So it just recovers off here again in a different book to say that you cannot use fucking things when they're on a transport. Stop trying to do it. Please stop. And then you've got a couple of extra little bits which are kind of interesting. But again, we cover off the extra bits because the big book obviously has some of the small book in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. I don't bore people to death here. I'm trying not to. But the rare rule bit, right, which is all about preventing reinforcements from setting up. And this can only mean my infiltrators, right? So infiltrators, and they even use it, e.g. enemy units that are set up within 12, that can't be set up within 12 inches. They even use the infiltrators bloody rule here.
Yeah.
Such rules always take precedence over rules that instruct you where you can set reinforcement units. So does that mean that even if you've got your Dark Angels who specifically say they can deep strike to within 6, that this stops them doing that?
Absolutely. And
so does this now stop the Sanguinor doing his bullshit as well?
Yeah. Yes, and it will also stop the Genestealer cult as well.
So, because the Sanguinor, he just deploys into combat, right? From deep strike. He has to be on deep strike to do it, right? So he sets up as if from deep strike.
He won't be able to do that.
So that stops that. That is interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah, and it stops Genestealer cult. So the only things that people can do are stuff that moves after deployment. So there is obviously the Genestealer cult one where they start to, and then they move it up. Yeah, they can do that still, but anything any other rule, it stops.
That's pretty interesting because that was one of the sort of things. It was like, well, why have I got infiltrators for then? What's the point? If you're going to have things which overrule it. So
and you pay a premium for infiltrators for doing that, and the same as any other unit that does that sort of type of thing. So it makes sense, right?
They don't have a lot of guns. They have pretty pissed guns. Their trick is stay away from my objective. That's the trick.
Yeah, you're paying for it, so it makes sense.
Pretty cool. That is pretty cool. And that's pretty much kind of it from a general rules perspective. I think they've tidied some bits up. There's some bits here that I don't really understand why there was problems with. So I didn't understand why splitting units up with pre-existing rules was a thing. Were people arguing that both units didn't get stuff, or they did or they didn't? I don't.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure.
Because I mean, what can do that really? There's not a lot, right? Space Marines.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head anything else that can split up.
Well, all big units, isn't
drones, drones can drop off things for Tau.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and also what about like big models that are like deployers? So things like Carnifexes, deployers 1 unit, and then there are 3 separate Carnifexes when they're on the table.
I suppose so. Yeah, but obviously something must. I thought it was pretty clear to me. It was like, well, if you had a rule on that unit, they all get it, right?
Yeah, get it.
Done. So if I take 10 infiltrators and I split them into 2 units of infiltrators, they're just 2 units of infiltrators.
That's right.
What's the big deal? I don't understand. But anyway, right, that's obviously was a thing. And they've done loads of points changes, and I know you're very much more in the know about this than I am. So
Yeah.
talk to me. What's the big wins then? Come on. What's the biggest win?
Let me just get my little notes 2 seconds. So let's start off with the boring stuff. Where's the Space Marines? So a lot of the big units at the moment that a lot of people are taking went up in points. So Eradicators went up in points. They were seeing, they were around everywhere. So they're still good, but they went up 5 points, which
that's the dudes with the melters,
right? Melter guns. Yeah. We
only have 3 models. No. We don't even have a whole unit yet. But obviously, people have found ways to. Well, it's quite easy. You just buy 2 sets of 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, three lots of those. They're just very, very points efficient for the damage they can put out. They're easy to hide, and so and so on. So they've gone up to make them more fair against and point kind of better against similar type units.
Just keep them off the board and pay the points, right? And then
absolutely.
Long enough range to spam anything, right?
That's right. Outriders again. Outriders were too efficient at their points. They went up again.
It was fucking White Scars with just rinsing stuff.
Yeah, and it's just how you used to compare them. It's sort of when you compare them against like other similar based units, their points efficiency was just too good for you to ever consider taking other similar units. And that's
take another bike.
Yeah, and it's bringing things in so it's a decision. Now, I think that both those examples and some of the others are probably things that you still will maybe take over, but at least you've got a decision rather than going, well, actually, I'm just punishing myself by taking something else. The Inceptors went up, which I thought was a bit of a shame, because I love those guys and they were pretty much.
I'm a little bit thing on the Inceptors. I'm like, what? And I mean, I don't know if they particularly ever helped my. Yeah. I know. This is the plasma dudes, right?
The plasma. Well, you can also take them with the bolters.
Yes, but everyone. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were both. They were really, really good in both. Really good in both. Slightly cheaper version of the bolters, but they just had like a lot of tactical flexibility.
Yeah, true.
I think they're really, really good. But I mean, particularly at the moment, people have been taking them as the plasmas because there's actually quite a lot of damage for what you can do with them.
Yeah.
So they went up in points.
That's it, really.
Servitors went up.
Did they?
Yeah, Servitors went up.
I can't
half a point each.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you looking?
They're now 30 points for a unit of 4 rather than 7 points per model.
Oh, okay.
Why
would you take them? I'm still confused.
I don't really know. No idea really.
I got why I take them when I was playing Iron Hands, but is that book still in play? I didn't think that book was still in play. Maybe I'm
the Iron Hands. Yeah, it's still in play. Yeah.
What the old Psychic Thingamy-Bob book where I could like do all the shenanigans? No, it's all stopped, right?
Yeah, that one stopped.
But that's why you would take them. You just use them as like sacrificial Tau drones, but I think that's gone. So anyway,
pretty much so. Let's have a look at what other kind of we're going through everything.
There's not much else for Space Marines, so they're fairly okay.
There's nothing else really for Space Marines. That's kind of it for Space Marines. I'm just thinking about the other type of Space Marines, like Dark Angels and stuff like that. So there's.
I think they're all, from what I can tell, they didn't actually.
There is some stuff, but I don't think there's anything huge in there that necessarily needs to be really looked at. Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Deathwatch basically got nothing.
No. Well, they use the same core book. It's only their fancy stuff in the new books, isn't it? So those core changes affect them nonetheless now. So that's nice and easy.
Grey Knights basically just got changed to their Stormbolter points.
Was there any big changes then? What about your beloved kind of?
We'll get to the fun stuff. Like I just thought I thought I would start with the boring stuff that I care not about, and then we'll go to the more fun stuff as we kind of move on, so that we get rid of the real dull stuff first.
What else has got? So I can't see. So Imperial Guard haven't had any points changes, so you really hate them. So they don't seem to have been touched. What else has had points? Not a lot of stuff, right?
So notable changes for Astra Militarum. Their infantry squads went 50 points to 55 points. So effectively, it's plus 15 to 30 point tax to most guard armies. So actually, that's a pretty big increase.
Where was that?
It's just what the points are. It's just a change.
Where are they listed? Hang about I'm looking in the wrong. The Military Field Manual, of course, Simon. Look in the right place, you idiot.
Yeah, tank commanders went from a base of 185 to 190. But Lehman Russes went down 5 points, so they've gone from 160 to 155.
I'm never taking a Lehman Russ.
No one's taking it. It's pretty pointless, right?
Unless you've got a tank commander in it, what's the point? Right, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And right now I can still take 3 tank commanders because we haven't got up to the only one, which I'm sure will come. And I do get it. And I get they want to change that. They want. So I reckon, like thinking ahead, you'll have 1 tank commander per 1 Lehman Russ squad, because otherwise, because that's the way Space Marines have gone. They don't want fucking like hero hammer anymore. They want heroes and troops. They want to have some people to lead into battle, not just the people who lead the battle. And I like that. So that's
your Chimera, or should I say wrongly, Chimera, went down 10 points.
Well, no, that's how you pronounce it in the Queen's English, my friend.
No, that's not how you say it. No one says Chimera.
Because no one else is speaking the Queen's English, they're speaking English.
So for the people that want to understand what we're saying, it's Chimera, not Chimera, but that went down 10 points. So that's good for you, right? Because you've got loads of those, yeah? Got a few of them, right?
Yeah. I do run mechanized infantry. I got harder to, but I've not actually played my guard in the new book. I do think that has some play with it's actually quite mobile. You can move it around the board. You can take objectives, and having them all sat in little bunkers is no bad thing. So yeah, that might be good. But you do need to be able to kill shit, and that's the guards. Killing shit costs points. So
I mean, the Astropaths went up. They were probably a little bit too cheap. Now you can actually pay some points for them, which is good.
One. So yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think there's not huge amount on the rest of kind of Imperial. I'm just having a quick double check through Imperial Knights.
It would help, and I'm just going to make a comment here. It would help the person like me who, when I opened this change, the changes were pink or something, because I can't
Wouldn't
tell.
It be nice? Yeah, exactly.
What's changed and what hasn't. So, anyone who sat there and combed through this, I applaud you. Well done. But it's not easy to know where the changes are here.
It's not. But anyway, that's the boring stuff. So now let's look at something slightly more interesting, which is chaos, which we do love a bit of chaos.
No, I don't mind a bit of chaos. So what happened to the Dark Angels then? That old chestnut.
Yeah, that was just a really, yeah.
Dark Angels players love that joke, so I just throw it in there, cheer them up.
So
you haven't heard that for an hour.
So let's start with something a bit exciting. So your Warp Talons, they went down.
They're fun. I do like them.
So they've gone down 4 points per model, which is nice. So that's pretty good.
Clarify for me, but the old rules aren't in play for them, right? Do I still get my Legion rules from the last book if I wanted to play them?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't picked up my Chaos in a very, very long time.
Yes, still get Legion rules. You just don't get all the special
them in the sort of the new one, because they were very they made some big changes, and I did sort of, I theory crafted some nice lists. I never got to actually try them. So
yeah, you just don't get specialist attachments. So you get all the other stuff. You just don't get the special stuff.
So like let's just throw it out there. The Night Lords had, or somebody had like that demon power claws. Which was cool. So you still get that shit.
You still get that. You just don't get those actual like you had one for your, I don't know, your mechanized monster things, didn't you? Yeah, like a detachment thing. You can't do that anymore. That's
okay.
But yeah.
I know that was a set of books before, wasn't it? That was so the very last set from Psychic Awakening is okay.
Psychic Awakening,
the ones
fine.
before that,
yes,
they're dead, but they're all dead across all the boards, aren't they?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. So what else we've got? We've got the Terminators. They got cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They keep making
Raptors got
it cheaper.
cheaper as well.
Never really seen the point of Raptors. Sure, there must be one, but they just seem a bit like meh. But okay, maybe one day they will. But I've always liked the dudes with their the warp talons. They're always a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lords of Scored went up.
Yeah, it's no shock.
It was pretty cheap. What was he, like 160 or something like that, or something
Yeah.
like that? I don't know. He's 195 now. Hell Brutes. They look like they went up a little bit. Yeah, they did go up a little bit across the board, which I don't really know why, but maybe they're just gonna get good. Maybe that's a preempt because obviously
Oh yeah,
Dreadnought's got better, right? So maybe
So
that's just
you're theorizing that maybe when the Nurgle book drops in a week, that the
yeah,
Chaos ones get equally as good. John,
maybe.
you've played Chaos long enough to know that that's not a
Yeah, it's
thing.
true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. So cultists stay the same.
Still 5 points
Defiler.
each, aren't they? Just nonsense.
No, they're 6 points.
All right, yeah, even more nonsense.
Yeah.
60 points for
Is
10.
it? I've got here, like on the notes.
Throw in bin.
They despite going down to 5 points for Death Guard.
Right.
Does that make
All
sense,
right.
right?
No, it doesn't.
Defiler went up to 135 points, which is plus 15 points.
He does have a lot of play in the current Death Guard, so I wonder if that's
Again,
continues to be the case.
yeah, potentially. I think that's more or less it. Let's have a look. The Lord of Skulls, base cost of 435.
Well, that's nonsense. Why is that, John? Why is Death Guard Cultist 5 and Chaos Cultist 6? Please explain that to me.
I don't
Is
know,
that a
mate.
fucking typo?
Well,
Oh, come on. I've just complimented you, dickheads, for the last fucking 40 minutes about how you're getting better, and then you do that.
yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
It's easily fixed. I'll just splodge some green shit on my cultists. Job done. Nurgle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so we won't talk about Death Guard because we'll cover them in a different, because I think obviously they're all
well, there's a whole new world coming in for them, right?
Exactly. So we'll talk about them separately. So Chaos Demons, Nurglings went up, which is no surprise.
Well, they're a star unit of this edition, right? So
yeah, they're amazing. They went up 4 points.
That adds up. That adds up.
It does add up, but they're still amazing. So yeah, it's fine. Blood Crushers went down 5 points. Wow, go out and take them now.
I've got a unit of them. Does that still hang about? So stop what you're doing. All right, let me just have a look at this. What points are they now? Don't get me excited.
40 points per model.
All right, keep going.
Yeah. Plague Drones went down. So they're now 35 points, but they're better than Blood Crushers.
Fuck's sake.
By a long way.
Keep going. Why must Khorne be like, being a Chaos player is hard, right? I get it. We've had 10,000 years of bitterness. We're fairly twisted players, right? To the point where I had to turn my back on Chaos and go back to the goodies. That's how twisted it was. Yeah. And then but even within the shit world that is the hellscape of playing Chaos, there's still shit stuff. And Khorne, for all of its coolness, is just wank. Yeah. Why do we get kicked so? And I want to play Khorne.
So, I think Khorne's awesome. Yeah, cool. I think Khorne's
awesome like
the
heavy metal of 40k. It's cool. Give me like, it's just fresh metal. Let me get in people's faces and kick the shit out of them and take skulls and scream like an orc player. But no, let's just give me crap units.
Absolutely.
Why is the skull cannon 90 points?
Yeah. And the Soul Grinder went down though, so that makes you happy, right? So now it's 170 points. It went down 15 points.
To be fair, the Khorne again. What am I even saying? The no unit with Khorne attached to it is good. It looks good until you play the friggin' thing, and then it turns into shit. But it always pleases me that it might be usable. So yes, great.
So
what demon list is stomping it at the minute, mate? What played the Harlequins in the final of the Australian major last week?
Space Marines.
No, well, we're in Chaos Demons, so it was a bit of a hint.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Chaos Space Marines then.
Slaanesh, my friend. Slaanesh
Oh
Demons.
yeah, Slaanesh are good. Slaanesh are good.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
They're good.
That's how. Why would I play Khorne? As
Yeah,
much as
yeah,
I want
exactly.
to,
No,
they
absolutely.
they they are shite in comparison.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay, so anyway, so that's
So what did
basically
happen to Slaanesh? Anything good for them? Because
no,
points just go
nothing,
up.
no, nothing,
Nothing.
nothing.
Oh, they're
No.
good as they
Yeah,
are.
they're
Awesome.
good. So now we'll look at the exciting stuff, and I'll definitely end on a positive for you and a negative for me. So we'll get to
Oh,
that.
the tower get kicked. Please tell me the tower get kicked.
So let's
Everything
start
goes
off
up 400
with
points.
so Necrons didn't really get any changes, funny enough, because they're pretty much relevant now. Yeah, they did get
I don't think
so
much, to be fair.
Nightbringer did go up 20 points.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think we kind of probably saw that coming because he's been specifically, really worded to be this kind of like anti-big thing killer.
Can I go into I'm going to go into some uncharted territory for me here, right?
Cool.
And I am normally, I am, if I don't play the army, nerf it to hell. But in Necrons, I've had it hard, and I genuinely do believe that Necron warriors feel slightly too expensive for what they do, unless I'm not picking something up. 13 points a model just seems unfair. I would not mind them being 12 points a model. I know it's not a big deal, but every little bit helps. They just seem a bit meh to me as a unit.
Well, we'll see, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens when kind of the tournament scene really kicks in because I'm hearing different things about them. So I think we'll wait and see.
Okay.
Wait and see.
Is that a very specific Silent King build though?
Well, possibly, yeah. but yeah, ultimately, same as anything, you if something's getting
good. Yeah, I get
it. You got to think of things like Dark Reapers and Shining Spears. The reason why they ended up getting hammered in the long run was not because someone was using them in your daft way of using them, it's because they were using them as Ynnari, right? So it's always relevant to however people are building them is depending on what's efficient and what's not.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
So
Ynnari, are they still a thing?
Not heard that. Yeah, they are, but there was no changes, so I can cover them off quick.
Good.
So Craft World, they did have some changes, not anything dramatic. What changed? So sounds like Dark Avengers went down.
Guardians. What are they?
Dire Avengers.
Unit? Oh, Dire. Oh, okay. Dark Avengers sound good, though, don't they?
They sound better than Dire Avengers.
Like little mini Eldar Batmans. Yeah, I'd get into a bit of that.
Yeah,
let's get
it sounds like Guardians and Rangers went down as well. Storm Guardians as well.
No clue. I've not seen any Craft World in play. I don't know.
And that's about it for them. So they didn't really see many changes.
Harlequins went up by 50 points each. I
wish. So the only changes to Harlequins were Void Weavers that went down 10 points.
Oh, for fuck's sake! I don't know.
Everything else is the same.
I just don't like them getting cheaper anything. But anyway,
because you've been touched in a bad way by them.
They're just bullshit. Move on. Drukhari.
So Drukhari,
there's big changes here. I have read.
So Drukhari have got loads and loads of changes. In fact, I would say Drukhari have got the most changes of anything. So they've got tons.
Yeah, I saw some talk of some definite things coming back into play.
Well, yeah, they've got so much. So Drazar went up because he was one everyone was taking. It looks like Archons have kind of gone down. Homunculus stayed the same. Lilith's gone up.
Racks have got cheaper, have they? I think.
Where are they? Racks. Yeah, they went down. They've gone down significantly.
I don't understand because they're very good anyway. But okay.
Witches went down as well.
Does anyone care about them? Okay.
Kabalite Warriors went down.
Yeah, no, Kabalite Warriors. They saw play. I'll give them that. But
yeah,
Racks was your thing, wasn't it?
But Mandrakes were seeing quite a lot. Mandrakes went down as well.
Are those guys with the invul, the green, glowy guys?
Yeah,
it's nice that they've come back into play again. Though they've not seen a table since that White Dwarf when they were made.
Oh, I don't know. I've seen people playing them.
Okay,
honestly,
Lawrence could get some play out of them. I'll give him that, but I don't think anyone else could. Next,
what else have I got here? Where are they? They've just got so many going through them all. Just trying to rather
players are happy. is all I could.
Dark
pick
Eldar
out.
players, I think, are significantly happy. Reavers went down by 10 points.
Yeah, they're the jetbacks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Ravagers went down as well. Like,
Those
why?
jetbacks only 10 point a model. This is nuts.
Yeah,
What?
Jesus,
10 points a model?
that's
Are you taking the
ridiculous.
piss?
Yeah,
That's just.
Ravagers went down 5 points.
Yeah.
Talos went down.
And yeah, because we need more Talos, right?
So, in a nutshell, just huge decreases of quite a lot of the key units. So, I think it's pretty exciting times for them guys, particularly as they're about to get a new codex. So let's hope it's not too powerful, because I didn't enjoy the time when those guys were just causing hassle. And as a Tyranid player, it's always worse as well, because everything's got fucking poison, which makes my day really miserable.
I didn't mind like if somebody brought a pure Dark Eldar.
No, I was
happy with that.
No, I don't want Venom spam. Venom spam is fucking annoying and irritating as fuck.
It's annoying and irritating to you, but at least it's beaming. I fucking hate the multi bloody spammy nonsense shite. Let's kill that, but they won't. But anyway, c'est la vie. Harlequins didn't really change in our.
No, we've gone over Harlequins, yeah. So Genestealer Cult.
Oh, you are the Genestealer Cult. Okay.
Well, I can do Orcs, because Orcs is basically 0. They really have very little change at all.
Makari, best in the game, said it's 65 points though. That's big.
Yeah, there's very little there. Genestealer Cult. So they did have a few. So Aberrants went down, which was good, because they were really struggling after their recent points increase. So it's nice that they're still probably too expensive.
Still quite expensive, isn't
it? Still quite expensive, but it's nice to have a fair.
So what? If you had 10 of them and you took the sign and some hammers on there, that's a big old chunky unit, right? That's gonna be near 350 points.
Yeah, absolutely. The Goliaths went down a little bit, but still don't think you'll see them, because they're really cool models, but you're not going to see them.
What planet? So it just makes no sense.
Yeah. Brood Brothers went up, but that's it's no big shout there. They need to go up, because you should be taking the standard proper Genestealer Cult rather than Imperial Guard in your list, and that's more or less it for Genestealer Cult. Let's talk about the most important faction, which is Tyranids. And
I've already made 7 YouTube videos about this, so this should be fast.
So I'll cover it off really, really quickly, because yes, if you want to see the details of this, I have made 1 video on it. Thank you very much. Was
it 7 that you edited into 1? Was it?
No. Only 1 video on point exchanges. Thank you very much. Tyrants went down points, which is good, but it's the ones with wings, which is good, because they're getting a bit overpriced, because they were hammered for being broken in the last edition and never really saw play since. Not really changed on foot, which is how I've been running them recently. Warriors went down, which is good. I still don't think they're absolutely amazing, but they're getting more to a place where they have play, which is good. Hive Guard ridiculously went down in points. Don't know what Games Workshop were thinking there. That's just a real stupid decision.
I'll be honest, they're not a great unit. You never used to see them in
play.
No,
exactly.
Why? I mean, I can only assume they just felt sorry for them.
I think so. Yeah, a unit that can reach out and touch anything on the board, ignores line of sight, ignores cover.
Every single Nid army I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and can be shot twice and put a multitude of buffs on. But I think it was definitely too expensive, so it's gone down in points, which is nice. Zoanthropes, which were getting very, very popular, have gone up slightly in points, but I think that's fair, because as we've talked about in previous shows, anything seems to be getting hammered that has a really good invulnerable save. And Zoanthropes having a free up invuln is really unusual these days, so it kind of makes sense that they've gone up in points. I still think they're really good, but free up
invuln now is a very, very special thing.
Exactly. So you need to pay a premium for it. The Tyrannofexes have gone down, which is nice. I quite liked them before, but
that thing with the big machine gun thing.
It's it's the kind of like it's a bit like Big Bertha with the kind of the big and it's the Flamer one, which generally you want to take, and that's actually got really quite reasonable.
Is that the shotgun one? Changes in strength.
No, that's a different one. None of that. Yeah, it's totally different. This is the one with the underslung one. It's the other model from Big Bertha.
20 shots or something. No?
It can do that one as well. So it's
Yeah,
the one
okay.
that's got three different. You've got the big gun that's useless, which is a rupture cannon. You've got the acid spray, which is the kind of the one that's decent, and then you've got the flesh borer hives, which is basically what everybody just uses for the devourers on their hive tyrants because no one ever puts them on the actual Tyrannofexes because they're shit. So that's Tyrannofex. He's gone down, which is nice, makes him a little bit more usable. The Tyranid world is going absolutely crazy, batshit crazy about termagants with devourers, or the classic devil gaunts that everybody knows them as. They've gone down significantly in points. I still think they're trash personally. In fact, that's probably a bit strong, but it's just that old factor. So it sounds like loads and loads of shots because basically, so it's each guy has 3 shots. It's strength 4, 18-inch AP dash.
Take 30 of them. That's 90 shots, right?
Yeah, and they can double shoot as well, and they can reroll 1s to wound. But you're still looking at something that is hitting on 4s. It's only strength 4. It's AP dash, and so you're going to get your save. You're going to like probably miss half of them. You're going to wound only half of them. They're going to save like a load of them, and before you know it, you're finding that this unit does less and less.
Shots has killed one guy.
Yeah, and
I've 3 hours of game.
Yeah,
so
and I've seen people kind of like throw the stats at me and say, no, this unit will definitely take down a unit of Primaris, and I'm like, I'm not convinced. But yeah, there are a lot of people going crazy because they're quite iconic. Devil Gaunt is something that people have always liked. The idea of dropping down these 30 little guys that then come out and spray you with a ton of shots, but the reality is don't do a lot. Carnifex is some tweaks, but nothing really worth talking about there. And that was more or less it with Tyranid. So all pretty positive, but nothing huge in there. So that's cool. And then we'll finish with your highlight and what is continue kicking for Tau, which most people are now pretty much clear that Tau are probably the worst faction in the game currently because they can't play the mission, and so many other changes to everything.
I have absolutely no sympathy. Quite frankly.
Yeah. So tactical drones now are 20 points per model.
See, if you dickheads didn't spam them continuously, this would never have happened, would it? Right? So
this is obscene. What which is obscene amount of points.
Keep spamming them to pull them up again. That's what I say.
Well, you can't spam them anymore because they're just ridiculous points now for what they are, which is stupidity. And the reality is they still cost the cheap points if you take them with stuff, but if you take them as a tactical drones, they're ridiculous points. So that's really stupid. And also the commanders went up points as well. So that's a shame as well because commanders are a key unit.
He's a lot of points now.
He is a lot of points. He's still good. I think you're still taking. Are you going to
throw him away though?
Well, you don't have to throw him away. You don't have to use him in that way.
Everyone's always played him, right? But everyone has.
Well, bad players play him like that generally. If you play him sensibly,
he's just a very expensive commander.
Well, not really because you play him. It's not so much that it's the tactical flexibility with his speed that gives you to take secondaries like really effectively and stuff like that. So there is, and you don't have to gear him up with the short range.
Are you going to do that?
No. Well, that's the thing. I haven't been taking with fusions for a while. I prefer them with missiles because it gives you almost the same stopping power, but in
missiles are the same points now, aren't they? There's still 15 points to go, right?
Yeah. But the range is much more flexibility.
65 plus extras. He's an expensive little model now, isn't he?
He's expensive, but he can kick out quite a lot of damage still. I still think there's viability in him. It's just in an army that is.
You can have one of them
really,
though, right? Per detachment.
Yes. Well, unless you're taking the Farsight, but
nonsense.
But right. Yeah, I don't know. They're quite good these days, but anyway, that's a whole different story. But the only thing that was a kind of, I think, the highlight was broadsides did go down in points, and broadsides are actually probably the best unit now in the Codex. And again, they have the same kind of ability and strength that Hiveguard have, because they had that ability before where their
Broadsides
range.
were good previously, weren't they? It just
They were good before, but their range was the only way that you could kind of play around them. Now you can't play around them because of the smaller board. So broadsides will now reliably delete anything on the board, and they've got slightly cheaper. So that's good. And also they can now move without having the penalty for heavy. So the broadsides were already probably a unit that you were going to take in a Tau army.
Tau's struggling to score the secondaries, though, right?
Yeah, well, you can't.
To be fair, Tau's struggling to score the primaries. You don't really want to be advancing out and getting smashed.
Tau play one game
in your castle.
Yeah. No, Tau play one game and one game only, which is basically just completely destroy your opponent's army so they cannot score anything, and then hope that you can limp onto some points to give you a marginal victory. The reality is anybody with any ability in the game and who's built a fairly solid list will play around it, and you'll just get outscored. You might kill a lot, but you'll get outscored. So Tau just have real problems at the moment. They just do not play the game well. So those people that were moaning you like a bitch before 9th edition around their rules with Overwatch, maybe you can see now where they can have some advantages because they cannot play the missions currently.
So. I still dislike the fact that they get to Overwatch everything because it ruins my day, but it doesn't ruin everyone else's day.
Yeah, suck it up.
Oh, hey, look, whoa! You're not going to lie. I'm in a happy place with this because what this generally means is people stop playing Tau and they play a different army. I got no problems with that.
We'll wait for them to have a codex that makes them playable. Devilfish did go down in points, and I think probably if you're generally determined to make Tau work, you're probably looking at
units
playing.
Of Devilfish isn't a bad idea.
I think Devilfish, kind of piranhas, little stuff that's fast moving with some you got to
play a different game. It's not a Tau game, right?
It's not a Tau game, and the problem is it's not really good at anything still, because the reality is it's still not going to, because you take those type of units, they're not going to hit hard, and they're not particularly resilient. So you're playing a very difficult game. You're depending on the balance of maybe having a couple of heavy hitters, units of broadsides that are going to take the threat units away while you try and keep your very lightweight kind of fast moving stuff zipping around the board taking objectives. So I'm sure there are much more dedicated Tau players than me that can make it work, but it is definitely playing on very hard mode at the moment, and hopefully that won't be forever, but there we go. But I thought we'd start before we finish on that one.
Let's do a straw poll of people who hope it's forever. Me.
Never. No, you shut up. But I thought we'd end on that one because I knew it would make you slightly chippier than you normally are, you miserable bastard. But I think on that point we are going now quite long, so we will call it a day today. But hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast, and it's been interesting for you. Again, please do kind of comment and let us know what you think. We're always interested to hear your feedback. The medium of podcast is really difficult to get that kind of feedback that you get on a video. So do whatever medium you listen to this on, make sure you send us the comments, and let us know what you think. And we'll be back, as I said, in a couple of weeks' time with our next podcast, and we'll do Death Watch. We think Death Guard. We've done Death Watch. We'll do Death Guard. So that's something to look forward to. But thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.